Hi, beautiful people. Today I'm feeling called to share with you some recent shifts that have happened in my business and in how we at Team MDS are operating. So, for the longest time, I have been seeing areas in which we could be more focused, more disciplined, and more structured within the business. I, however, have notoriously been, we'll say, a little shy to the concept of structure. It's really, really common for people who lean towards creativity. I'm a very logical left brain person if I choose to be, and I tend to live more in the realm of creativity. Granted, though, I am a true balance of the two, which is how I bring the work of the infinite into the finite, right? That's how I bring the work of spirituality into business. And yet, when it comes to the operations of my business, I have always leaned a little bit more, no, we'll say a lot more, truth, a lot more, towards lack of structure. And what I would call it previously, what I would have called it previously would have been that we are flexible and we're open-ended and we leave room for creativity. We leave room for new developments. We leave room for the energy of the day to be different tomorrow than it was yesterday, and for our plans inside of the business to really align with the new energy. And that is beautiful. And that is a form of flow that I would recommend everyone implementing in their business. And sometimes we have to go to opposite ends of one spectrum to find our way back to middle ground. And so in really allowing ourselves to activate more flow in the business, I would say we went like a lot over to the flow side for a while. And I kept wondering why. I would then ask for more structure. I would see the need to come back to middle ground, and I would request it of my team, but it would seem like they weren't actually listening, which was very unlike my team. Otherwise, it was really only requests that I made around structure and focus and discipline that weren't being implemented. And it was so interesting because my team is very, very responsive and communicative. They would literally just not even respond to those requests, let alone not do them. Like I could send them an email with two things and it could, have one question around one thing and another to like structure it. And they would respond to the first thing, but not to the structure piece. And I would be like, what is happening? And anyone who knows Jordanna in the day-to-day operations of a business world knows very well that Jordanna hates to repeat herself. It's like, it is truly one of my downfalls that I am not very good about like the need to repeat myself. If I feel I've already said something once, let alone if I feel I've said it more than once, I can get very, very frustrated, which is something I've been working on for years. And I continue to just go deeper into, okay, where is that my here? Or where was I not communicating it 100% the way the other person needed to receive it? And maybe my communication could shift too. That said, it was not going so well when I would ask for more structure, focus, and discipline, and it wasn't happening. In doing some deep digging inside of the operations of the business, inside of the dynamics in our team, and inside of myself, as well as with the greater vision, what I found was this. Yes, we absolutely required structure, focus, and discipline. And we perceive so often that those things, especially structure, we perceive comes from outside of us. It's like, oh, we can implement spreadsheets. We can implement daily tasks. Those things are not untrue, and those things are recommended. It's the energy that lies underneath the structure, the focus, and the discipline that actually creates more of it inside of your business. And so what I found was I would make these requests of them wanting to run away from those things myself. So I would make the request thinking, well, if they can get back on board with more structure, or on board in the first place with more structure, focus, and discipline, then I will be able to follow them or pick up where they left off, or then the energy of the business will shift that way. So then I'll feel okay with it. Or maybe I won't need it. Maybe the team will just have all the structure, focus, and discipline handled, and I can be off here dancing in my creativity, being the sorceress. I only need pragmatics in service to help support the entrepreneurs I work with. I don't need pragmatics in the actual functioning of our business. Like, that was from a very subconscious place, the way it felt for me. And so the team was feeling that. They weren't able to describe or define it either. We had no idea what was happening and why every request I was making was falling flat. But it turned out that the whole while they were desiring just as much structure, focus, and discipline as I was. But the energy, because though everyone inside of Team MDS is a big part of the vision, because I was the original founder of the vision, because the vision was originally my energy, and still, like, I would say the biggest cord of energy comes from me. And then they also hold a lot of the cords of energy now. But because that, like, primary, almost like umbilical cord between the vision and humanity came from me, it was my energy that needed to shift before the team could shift and we could have structure. This is one of those perfect examples of where we think that the pragmatics of our business are just that. Pragmatics. That the structure of our business is just that. Structure. That the tangible aspects of our business are just that. Tangibility. We think that, but ultimately nothing is ever just finite. Like, everything in the finite land, like this ring that I'm wearing, is like physical substance, yes, and it's ultimately just energy, right? And it's the same thing as if I were to make a request of you right now, could you do this for me, please? That request would have finite ways that I'm asking, like, could you pick up the pen and hand it to me? Would be a very finite thing. You're picking up the pen, you're moving your arm to hand it to me. I am reaching out my arm, picking it up. It's a very finite behavior, action. And yet there's also so much energy required of, like, the awareness of what I even asked for, and the awareness of what the pen is, and the ability to have your body and your mind move together to meet my request. And so if my energy were focused, for example, around energetically, if I'm feeling and thinking, could you go get me a glass of water? But instead I ask, could you pick up the pen? Could you see how it might, it's like you'd understand the words, and that's such a simple example. You probably would still hand me the pen. But there might be a little something off of, like, why did that feels weird. So if we go into deeper communication and I were to ask, like, hey, I require more open-heartedness from you, but really I have a very closed heart when I'm asking it, and I'm all closed off and contracted and shut down, and I'm asking for open-heartedness from you. Do you see how your body and your spirit and your mind would respond to that? It's like, it would be hard for you to open your heart when mine is contracted and asking you to open it. So everything that we perceive as finite ultimately has just a sense of energy within it. So when we're looking at shifts within our business, like, what we desire, we also require the same focus of energy in that direction. So it's got to come from the visionary, first and foremost, before it can come from the others in your business. And if you are not if there are leaders above you in the business that you work within, then it's also, it works both ways. Like, let's say you lead a team, but there are people that lead you. Like, the people that lead you, you're going to have to be aligned with them. They're going to have to be aligned with you. And then your energy will also have to be aligned down the line, right? So it really works on all levels within a business. What happened when I really got to the core of that, and when I realized it was my shift to make first, is I realized I had no choice but to find joy in the structure, the focus, and the discipline first. And so I did. I looked at ways to find joy within it. One example is, this is going to date me, but I have a thing for Fraggle Rock. And so I started watching the Fraggle Rock theme song before I would do things that seemed very pragmatic in my business, that didn't necessarily really juice me up. I would start watching the Fraggle Rock theme song and, like, dance around to it for a minute, so that I would feel that joy and that playfulness that is the allness of our lives. and feel it infused into all of my actions. And so I found that's one example, like many other things that I found that helped me to find more joy in being structured and having like very succinct focus and being very disciplined with the structure I was implementing. And now my days are far more structured and the team can feel a difference. So since then, we've had further meetings around it. We have been examining even further how to intertwine it in our operations. And yet, the moment I started making the changes within myself, the moment my energy started to shift, we saw very obvious shifts within the business. Things started to happen faster. Things were getting done based on deadlines more often. We don't use the word deadline in our business. That's a whole other story. There was a lot more focus and people were able to actually juggle, if you will, handle more in a given day because they felt my energy of the structure, the focus, and the discipline, and were able to then bring it into how they were showing up in their work. It's so amazing how in this process of becoming our vision, we often think of the becoming process as the intangible, like, oh, but the vision is out here and I'm becoming the energy of that. And that's true. And as you're doing it, you're building a business. You might be building a nonprofit, but you're building something very tangible. And in that tangibility, it requires your alignment of the energy of the tangibility as much as the intangibility of the service. So it's really cool in this becoming process to get to see the different ways where we can become more of all of it. And that allows for fuller embodiment of our vision. It allows for a bigger expansiveness. It allows for deeper standing in our power in our vision. It allows for more clarity of vision. And it allows for the inner workings of our business, the way the money flows, the way day-to-day things get done, all of the inner workings of our business also get to move into that process of becoming as well. It's really exciting. So that's it for today, guys. Don't forget to subscribe for more videos just like this. All my love.